Hello and welcome to Talking Points, our GA show here on Balls.ie, brought to you in association with Sky Sports. My name is Mark Farley and I'm joined by two lads on the couch this week. One of them thumbed the lift to Galway for the Connacht final yesterday, while the other lad went off to Coldplay on Saturday. I'm joined by Mayo legend David Brady and Longford legend Gavin Cooney.
David, thanks very much for joining us.
Pleasure.
Now, while you were at Coldplay, the Waterford hurlers were busy making history in Thurles, and that's where we're going to start. Their qualifier against Kilkenny was live on Sky Sports, and they essentially had to beat Kilkenny twice to secure a first championship victory over them since 1959. We live in uncertain times, and further proof to that was Jamesy O'Connor's half-collar shirt on Sky Sports after the game. Let's have a look at that as he dissected the Waterford attitude in response to Kilkenny's comeback.
And they may get more value, Brian, out of the manner of the win, because they were 8 points up, midway through the second half. If they'd won that game by 6-7 points or whatever, people would have said, well, Kilkenny are in decline, they were gone, what did you beat anyway? Whereas the questions were really asked. They had to dig very, very deep tonight. As a team, as a collective in the dressing room, they'll take huge pride from that. And we now have two really, really interesting quarterfinals. We're tipping Waterford, showing, a bit of form.
And Rachel, they're a massive goal threat as well. 8 goals in 6 league games, 4 tonight.
Yeah, and let's just take a look at 3 of those goals that we were treated to during that game, Jamesy.
Yeah, again, Shane Bennett does really, really well here into Brick, and I imagine that's Brick's first championship goal, but he showed a cool head, put it into the ground. Again, I think they do really, really well to turn this ball over here. And again, it's in the hands of Brick. He's options left and right, and he picks the right pass, and Shane Bennett absolutely rifles into the top, the roof of the net. A fantastic goal.
I think this is the goal in extra time, and again, we spoke about this earlier. Jamie Barron coming through here. We said it earlier. He had the option for Morris, but he was so close to goals. I suppose he couldn't give a pass off at that stage. He was the guy to put it in the net, and he did it with a plan. And then Morris Shannon came up in the end. An excellent finish from Morris, one-handed.
Dave, this was like 2 boxers in the 12th round. Unbelievable mental strength from Kilkenny. First of all, to come back. But then Waterford, with the history that is on their shoulders, 1959, the last time they beat Kilkenny. Kilkenny after coming back at them, so they had all the momentum. It was serious character from Waterford to actually pull that back in extra time and win it.
Fantastic. I have to say it was a gripping game. Just to correct you, as a die-hard Mayo supporter, I was in Ennis on Saturday night, but I managed to get a helicopter to Croke Park, and Coldplay was coming on, and we were all waiting watching Jamesy and the Sky team inside. But it was an incredible game. But the character shown by both teams, you go especially Kilkenny, but at the end of the day they didn't win it, and Waterford march on, and Derek McGrath and his troops. It's confidence is everything when you're coming through the qualifiers, and they have it now, and they'll have a lot of momentum going forward.
Definitely. I think you could see the passion on the sideline as well during the game. I think linesman incidents seem to be up about 400% this year in the championship. Derek McGrath and Brian Cody got involved as well, arguing over a line ball here. You see the assistant ref had to come on and push Brian away.
They're like two mothers fighting outside the schoolyard. they're like, there was never going to be any belts thrown, but it's you know what, both men have a great sense of passion, and they bring it to the sideline. And people talk about, what do you do? Do you go up to the stand, or do you have an overview? With them two boys on the sideline, you'll definitely be on your toes if you're a right half back or a left half forward, because they're only 5 yards away from you.
It was no less physical on the pitch. Here's Conor Gleeson smashing his hurl across Walter Walsh's shins.
Speaking of GA hard men,
you know what, that picture just it typifies a lot about sport, but like Dermot the Rock, man, to get a cuddle off the Rock, it's that's a serious, that's everything.
You knew you were in safe hands.
Like Dermot and I have been involved in a few things with Dermot. He's deeply passionate, but he went into Cork hurling when it was at a low ebb. And he gone, as a selector, guaranteed. He's up there on the list for the upcoming managers for Cork, without a doubt.
Pretty delirious scenes of full time at Semple Stadium, one of the great pitch invasions of the season. And it ends Cork's Munster final famine of 3 years, so it really wasn't that bad.
You think, but the reaction is like 43 years.
But on pitch invasions, David, obviously you've been involved in them and you've been on both sides of them. Would you prefer, when you're on the winning side, would you prefer to be left among your teammates, or do you want to be mobbed by the fans?
Oh, jeez, I want to be mobbed by the fans. Why would you want to be fans? You're around your teammates every bloody other day. Yeah, like what we've seen over the weekend in the Cork game, the Roscommon fans. That's what it's part and parcel. Like, pitch invasion shows great passion. Now, you would swear that between the Roscommon and Cork that they hadn't won it in 60 years. But, you know, if you combine Cork and Roscommon, it's something like less than nearly 10 years.
What's going to happen if Mayo ever win the All-Ireland? Like, is there a plan M in Croke Park for 130,000 people invading the pitch? How do you fit them all on even?
If Mayo win the All-Ireland, there'll be we'll just be sitting there saying, isn't that great? That's lovely. And fair dues to the boys and the whole lot, yeah. There'll be any barriers that's there, whether it's Hill 16 or the Hogan, they'll be taken, uprooted. And it wouldn't just last 45 minutes, or it'll last, I'd say 9 or 10 hours.
Yeah.
And are you leading the charge down from the press box?
Them off for the next year's All-Ireland.
Oh, well, yeah, 3 weeks later, we'll go home now. I'll be on the sideline, guaranteed. Whether it's if there's 6 points up with 2 minutes to go, I'll make sure I'm the first man.
Gavin, you were down at, speaking of pitch invasions, you were there live for the Roscommon one yesterday.
Oh, it was great. Now, I didn't storm the pitch because I have to maintain some level of balance here. But I did get soaked, as most people do in Salthill. It was about 4 hours in the front. As did Tommy Tiernan, who was sitting by me. I was basking in the reflection of greatness. Tiernan was wearing like a fedora and like a velvet, or I suppose maroon smoking jacket. He looked very, very slick.
He looked the part.
But in terms of the game itself, it was in Kevin McStay parlance, a scutcheon. Roscommon wanted it more. I actually think they had the better players. But this is often the thing with Roscommon, where when fans and when the public and the media expect it the least, Roscommon will pull a performance out of nowhere. And this is something I wanted to ask you, David, about in terms of being the underdog. Why do Roscommon, well, maybe old Connacht sides, but mainly Roscommon, why do they thrive so much as underdogs and then maybe struggle a wee bit when there's a bit of pressure on them?
Gavin, every single Connacht team loves being the underdog. Yeah. Absolutely loves. If you take, look at, there's fine footballers in every county, but there's this intense rivalry to say, and it was very evident in the Mayo Galway game, where Galway were more or less coming out, beating their chest, saying they don't rate us. They're still not giving us credit for last year. How they even some of the players came out after the game and said how we were written off and that. So when the stakes are turned and you're going, well, now we're the favourites, and Connacht teams don't handle the favourites tags well. Yeah. And again, inferiority complex. No Connacht team has it because they all hate each other. That's the reality. And and I did say it going into yesterday's game, that Roscommon wouldn't hold any fears of Galway because they've done it before. If the stakes are turned, there is a tradition of Mayo have constantly got the upper hand in the Roscommons of this world, but they didn't fare, and it was brilliant for Kevin McStay and Liam McHale. And because a lot of the backroom are from outside of Roscommon.
Exactly. I was just about to say to you, the Gay Sheeran headline from the start of the year, going, it was sometimes you didn't want to see a Mayo man or an outsider, or there it is now.
I think I do not like to see a Mayo man on the sideline. Like, the reality is, if someone is willing to put their heart and soul and 100% of what they have, and maybe 1 or 2 extra, well then they deserve to be on any sideline, no matter where they're from or where they originate from. I have to say, one thing I liked yesterday, and you're going, I don't know what kind of a yup he gave to himself when he went into the dressing room, because he left the pitch before the final whistle.
He did a Mourinho, yeah.
Because you know what, it's not about him either, and that is the one thing. There was honesty of effort and absence of ego was a sign on the dressing room wall. And by Jesus, there was an absence of ego in the way he presented himself yesterday. It was brilliant.
Yeah, he was very emotional after the game as well.
A lot of pressure. Like, when you're living and you're being, like, they're very personal remarks. Yeah. Now, it is a very professional game, but we're still amateurs. They're still amateurs. And it's when you go through a hard league campaign, you only win your last game. You concede 118. And he did say it's all about the championship, but at the end of the day, what else is he going to say? When you're losing every league game, but that's what managers have to do outside of football. They have to make up stories for us three, and they have to make stories for the dressing room, the 30 guys, and there's a lot of boxes to be ticked when you're a manager, but every one of them was ticked by Kevin McStay yesterday.
Yeah, 2 provincial titles handed out yesterday, but it's now time to give out the real prize of the weekend, which is obviously our fan of the weekend. My first nomination is this Roscommon fan storming the field in Salthill, proof that provincial championships are an eternal fountain of youth. He's beating all the young lads onto the pitch there.
You know what's great about that is he's leading it. Over here you have a Galway girl who's she's actually invading the pitch too.
She's just delighted to get on the field.
You know what, and that's, as we're talking about pitch invasions and everything else, she'd be my runner-up.
My nominee is Bucko Alert. We have another one this week on Sky Sports after the game. You can see this guy, he's a professional Bucko now. He's been hired by Thurles as a steward. You can see, he's a professional because he doesn't even acknowledge the fact that the camera's there. I liked how cool he took it compared to last week with the 2 lads. I've also got another one, speaking of professionals, Sky Sports soccer pundits, Jeff Stelling, a presenter, and Chris Kamara, pundit, were down in Carlow against Leitrim at the weekend. I think Carlow seem to be a big team now on Sky Sports. This is their second, they'll be on this weekend again, it'll be their second time this year, so the 2 boys must have been having a look-see, doing the homework on it.
Your own County are only 1 game away from All-Ireland quarter-final. Mayo eventually saw of Clare in Ennis. What caught our attentions from this game was this photo after the game. Proof indeed of the age-old GA principle that Gaelic fans will have a sandwich pretty much anywhere. David, you had just gone by this stage, is that?
The helicopter had taken off from just behind the scoreboard there, and I was gone to Coldplay. But I did see from the sky they were lovely, as we call them, hang sandwiches. I have to say the Mayo support is absolutely phenomenal, unreal, and they make a day out of it. Like the week before against Derry, where we're dead and gone. It was go look, goodbye, and God bless. There was 2 minutes left, and Derry had 2 chances. We were 2 points down, and next thing they started going Mayo, and I'm going, what are they at? It was like as if we just drawn level, but we were down. And I have to say they're a special breed.
Yes, elsewhere, Monaghan lads. We're trying to record a show here. Sorry, you can just.
There's no respect at all.
I swear to God.
Anywhere. They'll eat anywhere.
That ham looked like it's gone off for about 3 months.
I don't know, lads. Sorry about that, David. Sorry, we bring you in here and these lads come down and
it's called
hang sandwiches everywhere.
Picnic hangers on.
Anyway, we can't, Mark, we can't leave. I noticed you kind of tried to skirt over there. We can't leave without talking about Cavan's massive defeat. Just the 7 points up against Tipperary and now out of the championship.
Are you from Cavan?
I am.
You wouldn't know by your accent. I'm from Mayo actually too.
Lads, I'm telling you, the back of my neck was sunburned from turning away in disbelief. Like it's just another year, yet another year. Like I don't know what frustrates us so much. Like all I could think of was that Chris Waddle rant after England got knocked out of the Euros last year. He was like, we'll be getting ready for Qatar, and next thing we'll be getting ready for Timbuktu. I mean, the future is blue, but at some stage the present has to become blue. I don't know about this, David. Like you've experienced it with Mayo. I mean, Cavan won an All-Ireland the year after Mayo and haven't won one since. How do you keep going? Like, it's just disappointment after disappointment.
You just need to get to an odd All-Ireland final just to keep you going.
Even that's kind of 20 years.
It gives you the vote. It's like the defibrillator. It gets you going again for another 2 or 3 years or 4 years. Like, and you haven't been in many All-Ireland finals in the last.
Last time we won Ulster was 20 years ago.
So look at the you're just flatlined.
Yeah, and like what's so much more annoying, like the team I hate more than anyone now at the minute is Roscommon, because Roscommon beat us every year, and they're on the same trajectory as us, and they'll do that upset where they'll beat Galway or they'll beat a Mayo. Yeah. We always just seem to underwhelm and come to the big games.
Part of it is sometimes it's your, and I have to say, if you look at it, it's your finish in the National League. If you can finish on any sort of a high.
Even
or any
the last game or the last 2 games.
The last 2 games, even the last game, you're going. It creates a whole new complex and a view. Well, your manager will create it for you on that basis. But if you look at Cavan came down and bet Mayo this year in McHale Park, but Roscommon bet them in the last game.
So it's Roscommon's fault, basically.
You know what? You hate them. Yeah, it is their fault. But you know what, you'll be in an Ireland final in the next 6 or 7 years.
If I knew how sad Roscommon were going to make it this morning, I would have stormed the pitch in Salthill yesterday. I'm kind of disappointed I didn't.
You were saying everyone would make it, but I don't think so, because with the looks of it, it seems as if we've all given up on GAA and Cavan. You can see here, bring pride back to Cavan GAA. This page will be closing down if anyone wants to take over. To be fair, he did cite that it was because he had 3 kids under the age of 2, but no, we've moved on from GAA. As you can see, we've taken up tennis.
Enough is enough.
Tennis is now the sport for us. You can see a man there, Donald Farley in the 1997 Ulster winning jersey. We've moved on. Joe Brady suggested tennis years ago, and that's what we're going to have to.
Are you going to take over that Facebook page?
I don't know.
Well, now
I don't
look
know
at
what's the heart for it.
Say it here live. Are you or aren't you?
No, I don't think so. I have enough Facebook pages. But anyway, just before we go, there's one more thing. Everybody is undoubtedly waiting with bated breath on what was the playlist at Park Tolshin for Meath against Donegal. It was ABBA this week, lads. So we had ABBA's greatest hits were whirled out, but unfortunately we're going to have to wait until next May to see what they can,
what have you done?
Yeah, what they can bring out for us.
Was it not Sex and the City theme tune?
That was the week before.
Last week, yeah.
This week was ABBA. Yeah,
and they won't be around next week to.
No, we'll not. Maybe we can get
go have a picnic in Park Tolshin and see what they put on.
Get them two boys back.
Exactly. But that's it. It's time to go, lads. We will be back next Monday. Sky Sports have a double header this weekend with Carlo Monaghan and Tip Armagh. We will be looking back at those games and the rest of the GAA action. But until then, mind yourself.